welcome to the channel, everybody. I am Aesop Grim. I am live streaming this raw data at the moment. That'll make more sense here in a minute, but I'm also recording it. So this is sort of the intro video and it's an unorthodox intro video for what's going to be an unorthodox chronicle. I don't even know if I want to call it a chronicle. It's more like a playthrough. Here's the overarching idea. We just got done building this guy up through the Witch Queen content in my last chronicle, where we did the Risen season and we did the Witch Queen campaign. We actually started him out. He's been through several chronicles now because we did the Shadowkeep campaign and we did the Beyond Light campaign and then we did the Witch Queen campaign. But I have said before, I play my Warlock like a Titan. Now, I don't know if that's actually true. That's my perception of it. Okay, so what I'm wanting to do is I want to go into my Warlock. I want to play test 3 builds. And I'm going to do them in separate recordings. I'm going to make them separate recordings. Yeah, I am. So I have 3 builds to do. And the idea behind this is for me to get raw data. Well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I'm a blueberry. I've been learning this game slowly over the years. And one of the things that I found that I really enjoy is Gambit. For whatever reason, I really like Gambit. I can play Gambit all day long. It doesn't matter if I have long losing streaks or not. I think the race against time nature of it is what hooks me, and I have a lot of fun with it. I like the teamwork aspect. I like the co-op aspect. And I like the fact that you have just a little bit of very mild PvP thrown in to sort of mix things up. It's just a fun concept for me overall. And so what happened is sort of naturally, as I was learning about how armor works, how mods work and stuff, I began to learn more and do research and then tune my mods to try and get my character better at Gambit, and so I could survive more, so I could contribute better to the team. And that sort of naturally evolved into me using Gambit as a test bed for various PvE builds. I don't know if that's a correct move or not. I can kind of make opposing arguments in my mind, but the one that I'm running with is that because I've read that Gambit evens the playing field and lowers everybody to a certain light level or raises you, that actually creates a really good test bed area, so that you're looking at the efficacy of the build choices you've made versus your gear so much. I'm hoping that that's how it works out. But at any rate, there you have the idea of what I'm doing. I'm playtesting builds. And the reason I'm doing this the way that it relates to my Titan is that I want to find ways. Well, I'm interested. It's not that I want to find ways. I'm interested to investigate if I can take the play style I have here across 3 builds, and they are similar play styles, and transfer them into the Titan, where I can make builds using the Titan stuff that will revolve around this same playstyle, or whether it's a totally different experience. Because, for example, I have found that my Hunter, this is the worst character for me. I'm the worst at it. I'm not good at any of them, but I'm truly bad at the Hunter. And it's because he's way different in his playstyle, different mentality than either Warlock or Titan, or at least the way I play my Warlock. So I'm curious to see how these transfer over. So to do that, the idea is that I am going to play. I'm going to play until I have 5 wins. 5 wins for each build. And then I'm going to average the motes out. And that's probably actually the least I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to average the motes out. I'm going to average the number of combatants killed, and I'm going to average the raw damage numbers. And that's why I've decided to take 5 wins, because if I have 5 wins, chances are really good that I have performed at least adequately in that matchup as one of the higher light level people. And I know I just said that light level gets evened out, but the gear that I have, the mods, the stats that are on my character, if I have a bad game, it probably disproportionately affects the team. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if that's true or not, but in wins, that means, I think I'm working with the theory that if we win the game, that means I had an adequate game. I may be bad in one area. Maybe I didn't get a lot of motes, but I created a lot of motes that my teammates picked up and banked, right? B, it gives me the ability to get a good solid measurement on the raw boss damage, because if we get skunked and we don't even bring up a boss, I don't want that 0 points of damage to the boss to completely drag down the average. That's an outlier. So we're going to go ahead and load the Warlock up, and then once we start playing Gambit, there may be inter-game commentary from me, but during the game I'm going to mute Mike. Let's begin by looking at the first build I'm going to do. I'm looking to see if there's a gap. Is there a build that is a clear-cut better build in results than the others? So this first build is Stasis. I don't even have all of my Stasis filled out, but let's look at the ShadeBinder. Of course, we have Winter's Wrath. It's the only choice for a super for the ShadeBinder. I'm using Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Penumbral Blast, and I use Cold Snap Grenade. I find that that's better, and at least for me, and speed content like Gambit, where efficiency is important. I do like Dusk-Filled Grenade quite a bit, but I'm using Cold Snap for this. I'm using Frost Pulse. This has been it's nice utility for me. I like it a lot. Casting your Rift generates a shockwave that freezes nearby combatants. I'm pairing that with Glacial Harvest. I just recently got this, and it's a central part of this build, I believe. I would even say probably mandatory. Freezing targets create stasis shards around the frozen targets. Higher tier combatants create more shards. And then down here, by the way, I do watch YouTube videos on builds, but because I'm still building my mods up, I don't have access to all mods. A lot of times these builds are just kind of what I'm putting together. So they may exist out there already. I'm not saying that they don't. But I am saying that if you see something wonky, it's because I'm just kind of making my own choices. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to take things that increase my stats. I'm comfortable with that right now. I am starting to see that there are players out there who are getting tremendous results, and they have stats that are in the 40s to 50s in some of their important areas. But what they're doing is they're taking a really nice build that'll cost something like this one right here, -10 discipline, -10 intellect, but defeating frozen targets gives you super energy, and I might actually use that, and I might play around with that in the near future. That sounds pretty darn good, actually. But here's what I'm running with. Nearby stasis shards track to your position. This is Whisper of Conduction. I get +10 resilience out of it and +10 intellect. Because I'm running a build that converts stasis shards into wells, this allows me to run just that as a well generator. I don't need anything else. And it keeps me charged with light pretty routinely, without even having to think about it, because they all track to me. As long as I'm in the vicinity of those wells, they will track in on me. And then Whisper of Chains. While you are near frozen targets or friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets, +10 recovery. Whisper of Fissures increases the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. And Whisper of Shards Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. That sounds great to me. And shattering additional stasis crystals increases the duration of this benefit. That really sounds great. So it's like vanilla ice cream with the cherry on top. And then you get plus 10 resilience on top of that. The thing is, I don't ever stand around and try to shoot stasis crystals and blow them up. So I don't actually know whether or not I'm getting any effect from this. What I'm hoping is that I'm blowing these stasis crystals up as I'm mowing down ads and then getting the benefit that way. But this one of all of these is the most suspect. The only thing, it's possible that the only benefit I'm getting out of this is the plus 10 resilience. And speaking of that, you can see with my stats what I've prioritized. I have 33 mobility, I have 99 resilience, 97 recovery, 92 discipline, 44 intellect, and 30 strength. For weapons, Osteostriga for this build. This is a stasis / poison build. And believe it or not, look at this. I'm weapon level 117. I guess I just ticked over to that. Enemies defeated 6,464. And this is going to blow your mind. It did mine. 2 days ago is whenever I finally put the catalyst in this bad boy. I had meant to do it ages ago, and I think what happened is I didn't actually complete the process. Remember, I'm a blueberry. But what that did for me is it gave me, I think, like plus 40 to reload speed, which really sewed up about the only weakness this thing had. And now I have 67 in reload speed, which is terrific. The stability is rock solid. I'm a PC player. That's not the most important thing to me, but even I can still tell a little bit of a difference. And my range is 88. That stability plus the range, having a little bit of extra stability does help. And then the really big thing, though, is that this thing refills cartridges. It refills your magazine while you're shooting. And so you can go from, you can see my magazine level is 27 there. You can go from that to 107 lickety split, you know, and you can basically just hammer down on the fire trigger, go full auto, and just fire forever. And that really helps a lot with DPS. In this build, I don't use the title, but we'll go over it anyway. In all cases, I tend to use my melee, and so the title has Grave Robber on it. Melee final blows reload this weapon's magazine from reserves. And Swashbuckler, this weapon gains increased damage from melee kills and kills with this weapon. I also have Major Spec on there. I tend to use my Osteostriga as the boss weapon. So I have this one outfitted to take down majors. I have increased reload speed rather than taking increased magazine size. And I have increased range rather than favoring the greatly controlled recoil and handling speed. So that does it for the weapons. Now to look at the gear. All right, so I have a masterworked hood here. It's got 83 total points, not the best. I could probably improve it, and I might do that in the future. But for right now, I'm going to speak in scholastic terms here. I have a double major in resilience and discipline. 28 resilience, 26 discipline, and then I have a minor in recovery, plus 13. These three are the dream stats. So even though this total number here is a little bit lower than what I would like to see, the distribution is excellent. And so that makes this a really good helmet for me. I'm using solar so that I've loaded up a plus 5 recovery mod into here, and then I'm rocking double stacked ashes to assets so that I gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. And then in the combat style slot, I have charged up, which allows me to get one additional stack of charged with light. Okay, and the gloves. Believe it or not, this dropped the very first time I was able to successfully solo the legendary Lost Sector that I needed to do on the Witch Queen world, the Throne world, to get these. I am pretty sure they're a terrible roll. Look at the total there. The total is 73 points. Well, this legendary up here is 83. This one right here is 87. My boots are excellent at a total of 90 points. And this exotic right here is at 91. So I'm pretty sure I need to go farm these gauntlets until I get a better roll. I'm not a super fan of having the increased strength, but I do realize that the nature of these gloves, that might be embedded as a permanent trait. We'll have to find out. But I've tried. That Lost Sector is hard for me. I've successfully completed it, I think, 3 times, and I only got the drop on the first time. So I don't know if I'll ever, we'll see. But anyway, let's take a closer look. Grasp of the Devourer. Damaging combatants envenoms them with poison that deals increasing damage over time. Defeating a poisoned combatant spreads the condition to nearby targets. Now, I want to point out right away, there's a distinction between how this works and how this works, because this also spreads poison. This uses Toxic Overload. Screaming Swarm fires a stream of sentient toxic projectiles that track the targeted enemy. That's really nice. And then Toxic Overload, landing a final blow or multiple precision hits triggers a burst that poisons nearby targets. Okay, so what will happen? Let's say that this is a target. You hit them with Osteostriga, they die from the poison, and then they explode, and that spreads the poison to their 2 nearby friends. Now, friend 1 over here dies in isolation, and so that poison doesn't go anywhere. But friend number 2 over here has another buddy next to him, and whenever he dies from poison, it does not spread to his buddy. It only spreads once, from original target to all of those that are nearby. Okay, that is not the case. From what I read, that is not the case with Osteostriga. You envenom enemy number 1, and then whenever enemy number 1 dies, it spreads the corruption to enemies 2 and 3 that are flanking them. Then whenever they die, it spreads the corruption to any enemies that are nearby them. So that theoretically, if you had an entire battlefield map full of mobs that were close enough to each other, you could punch and kill one mob with envenom, and it would spread through the entire map. That's how I understand that this works, the way that this works, from what I have read. And so I have 10 resilience on here, and I have a double stack of impact induction. Causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. Okay, so we are getting our super back from grenade kills, and then we are gaining grenade back from melee kills, and we're envenoming. Then on my chest piece, I have 10 recovery on here, and then double stack of thermoshock plating for the solar and arc damage resistance. And I have elemental charge, become charged with light by picking up an elemental well. If the elemental well's element type matches your subclass element, you gain 2 stacks of charged with light. Okay, and then on my boots, I forgot to go over stats. So right here, I have what I would call a quadruple minor. And resilience at plus 17, recovery at plus 13, discipline at plus 16, and strength at plus 16. Again, I think this is a bad roll. I probably need to farm for a better one. On my robes, I have a double major in recovery at plus 35 and discipline at plus 26. I don't really have a minor on this one. Perhaps you could call the mobility a minor. That's kind of Having plus 8 in intellect is not bad, but the recovery and discipline that's what's important to me, and it's a total of 87. Then on my boots, I have plus 10 to resilience. I have 1 stack of absolution, reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power. Now, the only thing creating orbs of power for me is my super. I don't have anything else creating them, so I'm kind of reliant on my teammates to produce them. But I had the 3 points to spend, and this seemed like the best way to do that. And then I have high energy fire. While charged with light, gain a bonus to weapon damage. Each defeated combatant consumes 1 stack of charged with light. And I have a double major here, 28 in resilience, 22 in discipline, along with a double minor and 14 recovery and 14 in intellect. This is an excellent roll. This is really, really good. I don't really care about mobility. I don't really care too much about strength at this point. These 4 middle stats are my favorites. Maybe I could swap strength for intellect and favor powered melee over super, but I really like how this roll went. And then that leaves the class item. And in the class item, I have loaded up plus 10 recovery. I have 1 stack of distribution, reduces all ability cooldowns when using your class ability near targets. And this is really the central thing that the whole build revolves around, elemental shards. I just recently got this mod. Stasis shards count as stasis elemental wells for you. This does not apply to Crucible Trials or Iron Banner, which I don't play any of those, so it doesn't matter. And that's what we've got set up for the build and for the gear and for the mods. So now what is left is for me to go and actually do the Gambit, and I'm going to play this until I have 5 wins. With this character, with the Warlock, I always salute the other team. And then there's some other emotes I use depending on if I win or not. The other thing I wanted to mention is I really like this build thematically. From a theme, a concept standpoint, it really feels like the old World of Warcraft Affliction Warlock to me, which is what I played for a long time.
All right.
With the spreading of corruption all over the place and the damage over time. All right, I'm going to mute Mike now.
Transmat ready. Get ready for a firefight, brother, and drop those moats in the bank. Focus on the primeval. Enemy invader is down. You can leave. That primeval's not long for this world. Burn it down. Take this game. Sometimes I forget who killed a garbage.
Okay, that might have been something of a warm-up match. I had a few things that I consider mistakes for me. Again, I'm not the best player. I'm not trying to say I'm the best player, but I have a standard of play. I know what I'm capable of, So let's see. We got 44 emotes, 82 combatants. I lost 14. That was unfortunately the guy foot stomped, and so I wasn't able to get my rift down because it popped me up in the air. That's how I died. 24,000 and damage to the boss. So that's 1 win. We need 4 more. So this particular build seems like it's a little bit harder to consistently get really good boss damage. It consistently finishes lower than Void does. But the build feels more stable at the same time. I think maybe because it's a control build, so I have a lot of control over the mobs around me and even opposing guardians, which allows me to play more relaxed and a little bit more boldly, I guess. I have a little bit more confidence and I'm a little bit more daring maybe with this build. Plus I gain increased toughness and stuff whenever I'm near frozen enemies. The Void builds feel a little bit more fly by the seat of your pants. I wouldn't call it glass cannon. It's just that you're really pushing the throttle and you're on the edge of oblivion. I would describe the stasis, even though it does plenty of damage itself, especially in ad clear. Stasis more, you can control a whole map and lock down entire zones of enemies, and your allies will clean up on that. But at any rate, I'm not necessarily describing fact here. I'm describing how it feels. I'm trying to give a word picture of how it feels for me. All right. And there it is. That's the 5th win right there. So now I need to do the averages and post-edit work and put together
like every day? I don't
a video, an edited video.
There'd be no one left.
21 motes, 45 kills, 11,000 C. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Kind of wonder if there's something that can be done about that. Maybe, you know, like maybe it's me. But I need to bring these stats up again just so I can look at them a little bit more clear. In the post edit, 5 blockers. We had a total of 3 invasions and 6 guardians kills, so Genthor did really well for us. Okay, guys, that's it. That's it for this stream/recording. I'll be on probably here in a little while to do the next build, which I don't know which one I prefer. So I'm going to take a wild stab and say that the next one in us sending order from least preferred to most preferred is going to be the pure well build. And that'll be a void build. But that actually might end up being my favorite one. I just don't know. So that'll close it out for now. Again, I'm Aesop Grim. Thank you for coming by the channel. I hope you like what you saw. I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. And I'll see you in the next episode where this story continues.